Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Guess what? We got the interview with Kirk Stokes right now. Kirk Stokes is a researcher who has some of the greatest video and photographic evidence of these creatures. I don't want to take too much of your time up. I want to get into the interview. So before we do it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It's absolutely free. Click that like button and please leave a comment. All these things really do help, and guys, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time, and it has been since 2016 since Kirk Stokes has done an interview. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, everyone. Today I have a researcher. I think he's subscribed to my channel. Actually, I'm probably sure. We're friends on Facebook, so I'm hoping that he is. Kirk Stokes is with us. He is a researcher that I have heard a lot of his research experience, photos, and stuff through other people. I've never had a chance to sit down and talk to him. Tonight we talked for about an hour before doing this interview. We got to meet each other and know each other for a little bit. And right now it's my honor to give you guys Kirk Stokes. Kirk, how are you?
I'm doing good, Jeff. I appreciate you having me on, and because it's been a while since I've done any interviews.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It definitely has. I know that we've been friends on Facebook through Paul Chaffin for a couple of years now.
Definitely.
And I've reached out to you a few times, and you've had other issues going on. And, you know, I've said it a lot on the channel. A lot of it was you just kind of pulled yourself away from the cryptid community because of past issues. We're not here to talk about that tonight. We're here actually to talk about your research and things that you've experienced, because, you know, I think a lot of people would love to hear it. You've got a lot of insight, and you've spent a lot of time out in the woods researching these creatures. So when did you get started in the cryptid field? What brought you into it?
That's I guess you could say what sparked my interest in it when I went public or started researching. Off the bat, I wasn't born in the country. I was born in the inner city in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where I grew up. So when I basically got to high school, I got into wanting to hunt and fish, and I never had the option of doing that. My family never really hunted or fished, you know, and I never, like I said, being in the inner city, you know, I didn't have the chance to do that growing up. So when I went to high school, the friends I became, you know, friends, buddies that I met, they more so lived in the country. So that's where I picked some hunting and fishing up, you know, going out with them. And from then on, I was hooked on fishing. Okay. You know. So after high school, my first experience ever, I think it's the one I told on different shows. When I first came out, when I started talking about it, the incident happened in 1991. It was August, And I was either a year or two out of high school, and I still was hanging around with two of my best friends, and there was another guy that, was like a buddy, and we all go on a camping outing.
Okay.
When we were all off work. And it was in August, and it was hot. That's what I remember. I guess I was about 19 or 20. And we had planned a 3-day, it was either a 3 or 2-day outing to Spencer County, Kentucky, where Taylorsville Lake is. And when we planned it, we got there, we were going to do all fishing. Like, I fished for bass. One of the guys usually fished for catfish. And we usually find a place at the time. One of my buddies had an uncle or something who owned the land around there. And we go down to the lake. And I think it was 5 years ago, we went and we tried to find that spot, but it's all been redeveloped.
Okay.
Like, commercially. I mean, there's not a lot of commercial, but I'm talking about it's either like vacation homes or something. Right. So all this property at the time, it was all wooded, and there was where we were camping. It was, at the time, it was like a plateau, and there was trees surrounding it, tree lines that went all the way down to the river. And so, we fished that day. And when we came back to where we had our stuff, the coolers, the camp fires, we normally didn't set up tents. We would just sleep on row sacks.
Okay.
During the summer.
Yeah.
And I know that we had lanterns, and we were sitting around, and I don't think we brought beer that time. I did drink beer. We all drink beer.
Right.
At different times, but we knew that some of us weren't. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if I was 20 or 21. I think I was 20. But we knew that you couldn't really have it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of three of these guys were already planning on going to the Marines. Yeah. And I was planning on doing that too.
Yeah. You get busted by DNR out in the woods drinking beers. That's on your record.
Yeah. And they, we didn't want to jeopardize that, right. Honestly. I mean, we've drank before that when we were fishing, but we knew how the Conservation Service was there at the time. Mm-hmm. They were really strict, So I think we were just sitting around, and the tree line was on my right, and I had my side, I guess, where I was sitting on my tackle boxes. I had the real big tackle boxes, and I think they were sitting on these little pull-out aluminum chairs. And I kept hearing stuff from over the tree line, like sticks and stuff. Like, I thought it was deer. But at this time, it was probably about 12, sometime after 12 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely not deer time.
No, not really. But I mean, I'm not saying that I think I've seen deer out at night. Right. But it was just unusual at that spot because we had been there, I think, one other time. And I forgot, we were all joking around, I remember telling this for the first time. We were all just, joking around, cutting on each other. You know how kids do, or young dudes do. I mean, so as I was laughing, I heard this, what sounded like a bulldozer. That's what it sounded like, coming up through that, on the other side of that tree line. And I stopped because I couldn't see anything. I mean, it was dark besides the lantern. And I remember all I could see was one of my buddies' face, in the lantern. and they all looked, you could tell their eyes were set, on what I was hearing. And I remember kind of turning a little bit, and the next thing I knew, I had a little bitty metal flashlight at the time. I don't know what brand it was. It was just a little, I don't know if it was a Maglite. I can't remember. But I took it and I did a run on the trees, on the tree line, because that's where it sounded like that noise stopped. And I ran it across there again, and I caught what was this creature that looked like a canine creature. The face, it was, when the light hit the eye looked like it was as big as a softball.
Yeah.
And I can remember seeing one side of the face, because that's, I guess it was my right looking up at its left side of the face. But where the tree line was at, it was like 10 to 13 foot where the tree line would go up and down.
Okay.
And it was somewhere in there where this thing had its head right over this tree line. And I automatically, I think I took the flashlight and I winged it at it out of reaction.
Yeah.
I know. I've said that many times on different radio things, and they've cut that part out, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a natural reaction.
I never could find the flashlight when we had gone back there. I don't even know where that flashlight ended up. Right. So the next thing I know, I'm getting up. I wasn't even aware that they were there, or they had left and they had taken off to go to the truck, because I was just now getting up, and I had turned around and I tripped over those tackle boxes, because I was unaware even what I was sitting on.
So your friends just left you. Your friends just left you.
Apparently they did.
Wow.
At the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know this because my heart was racing so fast.
Right.
And like I said, next thing I knew, I instinctively got up and I was going to run, and I was kind of going backwards, and I tripped over those boxes. When I hit the ground, it knocked the air out of me. And I could still kind of make the outline of the thing out. I could sense it was there, what I seen on the flashlight.
Right.
And the next thing I knew, I was going to get up, and this thing let out a low guttural growl.
Still in that same location where you saw it?
Yeah, it was in the same place, I figured. I mean, you got to remember, it was pitch dark,
Yep. Yep.
But I knew it was still there, and then it let out the growl, and I was on the ground, and that vibration hit me in my chest. And the only thing going through my head at the time was, I'm going to come up missing. Like, I'm not going to be able to live my life. I'm like 19 or 20, and this thing's going to take me, because I don't know what the heck's going on. Like, I've never encountered anything like that,
Yeah.
I mean, who encounters that stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
it's not something that you plan on, encountering at such a young age, just having fun with your friends.
Exactly. I mean, I was totally out of my wit, when this was going on.
Yeah.
And that's all I remember thinking. I'm going to come up missing. I'm going to get killed, And as I was thinking this, it stopped that vibration or whatever it was, because it literally paralyzed me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I ever had an instance since that time from I was a kid to there that I experienced where I could not move, you know. I don't know if it was some kind of physiological thing or if it was something that I later researched called infrasound.
Yep.
That sometimes they say, I've talked to zoologists in the past when I got into the public research, and they said it sounded like some kind of an emittance of ultrasound or infrasound.
Yeah, where you're
like a tiger uses or a lion to freeze prey.
Freeze you, yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Because I had no idea at the time, because I didn't discuss this with any zoologist or anything till probably about 2009.
Okay.
You know, I never told anybody.
Yeah.
I actually blocked it out of my psyche, is what they thought, you know, what the professionals said on that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because when I had my experience, I mean, I went for the first probably year after I had it, I really was dedicated to finding whatever I could about these things, which in 94, there's nothing, you know. It's when I had mine is in 94. You know, I was going to bookstores, you know, and no one to talk to.
Yeah, that's all we had.
Yeah,
we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, there was no one to talk to, except the people that were there with me. And then I think for 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere around there, I just kind of blocked it out. And then I was watching something on TV one night, and I saw a show, and it instantly brought it right back. And that's when it happened, you know, that connection. And I was like, damn. So what were your friends doing when did you get up, or what happened after that?
Yeah, after I was thinking this is it, like I'm going to know what it feels like to get torn apart, or I didn't know what was going on. You know, I don't know if you can tell, but when I retell this, which I kind of try to avoid it, because I sometimes go into a panic.
Yeah.
But when I got up, it finally let me go from that whatever that paralyzation was when I was laying on the ground. So immediately when I thought that, it let go. And I got up and I just jetted off to the truck.
Mm-hmm.
There was a barbed wire fence or a cow fence at about 100 yards. And then there was another probably 100 yards to get to the truck. And I don't remember going over that fence. I mean, when I look back on it, when we went back, I don't remember going over that fence.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But when I got back to the truck, they were all in the truck with the doors locked.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, you know, I was at the time, I guess I was kind of pissed.
Naturally.
Got in the truck. Yeah, but I wasn't really focused on why they actually went to the truck.
Right.
I was kind of numb, like we didn't say anything.
Okay.
You know, now I had all my stuff, my cigarettes. I had a whole carton of my cigarettes. I had $1,200 worth of fishing gear that we left.
Right.
They had their stuff. I think we sat there for like 20 minutes, and one of my buddies always had a 12 gauge. I'm pretty sure it was a 12 gauge, not a 20, and he always had it in the truck. So after about 20 something minutes, I needed a cigarette because all my cigarettes were down there. At that time, people don't understand, when you worked for that stuff, I wasn't going to leave it.
No, that's your money.
I'm not. I don't care. I think some people in the past said, oh, yeah, you'd really go back. Yeah, if you knew me at that time, you probably would understand why I did go back, Right. So they didn't want to go back. I went down and got my stuff and got my cigarettes, and I came back to the truck, and I told them, if you want to get your stuff, you're going to have to go down and get it. I'm not bringing it back. Because I kind of was like, you all left me.
Yeah.
You all left me there. We're supposed to be going into the Marines.
Never leave a man behind.
Never leave a man. That was always what we said at lunch, when we were in high school.
Yep.
That was the motto. I mean, we always knew that.
When you went back down there, when you went back to get your cigarettes and your fishing gear, I'm assuming this thing was gone.
Yeah, it was gone. Yeah. It was gone. I mean, I was getting my stuff as fast as I could. Yeah. And I think I browsed around for the metal flashlight with my lighter, with my cigarette lighter, and I just didn't even, because I paid good money. It wasn't easy coming for money even back in 90.
No, I understand. Especially being young, I mean, that's your hard-earned money, and
But like I said, I went back. I guess 2 of them went, and I guess somebody might have left a chair or whatever. I don't know that they didn't want. But we finally just got back in the truck. The dude drove. That was his truck. I sat in the middle. We really didn't say anything, and they dropped me back off in Louisville, where I was living.
Okay.
And I really didn't talk about it with them. I kept in contact with one of the guys for a little while.
Yeah.
And I had seen him at Thanksgiving the next year. And I knew his parents and his sister, but we never talked about it. One time I brought it up around his sister, and he just gave me that look, or
be quiet.
Don't bring that stuff up, dude.
Yeah.
That's basically so I didn't, but I never talked about it.
Right.
It's kind of a weird thing. And when people have to tell about their experiences, man, they already have the cards stacked against them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because of the stigma on something like this. I mean, when does that happen? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like the UFO phenomenon. All those people that have an experience, of course they don't want to tell anything.
Yeah. Because you've already got the cards stacked against you. Exactly right
exactly. There. It's and I didn't, at being 20 years old or 19 at the time, I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I wasn't the smartest guy in the world. I think I'm a little bit wiser now, and I look back on my buddies, and I don't blame them for leaving, because it was a auto response.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I realized that, yes, 2 of them did end up going to the Marines, but I don't blame them, because I might have done the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate to say that.
Or in their eyes, maybe when they were running, they may have thought, Kirk's with us too, until they got back to the truck, because they all instantly got up and took off, but you, like you said, you were flashy, you were looking at this thing. You probably got the best look at it with your flashlight. So you were just kind of almost hypnotized, it seems.
It was something that I had never experienced. My mind was not full of so-called chasing monsters.
Yeah.
Till about 97. After this happened, I didn't go fishing for till about 95. I didn't go camping. See, I was camping heavy, and I didn't start camping again till about 95 or 97.
Okay. And
then I camped and I fished up until about 2008. And in 2009, because I was working too, but on the weekends, I loved camping. But it took me about 5 years to even go back.
Yeah.
Not to that area, because I never went back to Taylorsville.
Yep.
Until 2011, I think.
Yeah, when I had my encounter, I live where, I had my encounter. I'm probably five minutes from where I had my encounter. Mm-hmm. And I've had to drive by the location of it, but there was times I remember driving in the cul-de-sac where I had it, and not being able to stop. I just really went right through the cul-de-sac and went right out. And it wasn't until this year that I went out into the woods and brought my camera with me and showed people where this went down. It takes a lot out of people. And then to go back, because you're almost reliving it as you're there.
Exactly. I totally understand that, from what I know from researching more in the psychological, well after this, that it affects people in different ways.
Yeah.
I kind of, without knowing it seemed like it set a spark off in me in 95 to pick it up and to probably make a semi-career out of it. Because actually I started thinking, I got my first camera in 98. I think it was it was a bulky big VCR Beta.
Yep.
Like a hand-shouldered one.
Yep.
And it dawned on me, if I could have got this creature in 91, which I probably couldn't at night unless that flashlight was on it. There was no night vision that the public had, I don't think. But I figured if I could have got the creature like that on film, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what was going through my mind around 98 when someone had given me a camera for like my birthday. And I was like, man, if has anybody ever done this? I mean, I knew about Patterson, Patterson Gilman, and who hasn't watched that a million times? But this was not a Sasquatch. This was like a killing machine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way I first deemed it in my mind when I first told that experience publicly. I think that's what I termed it at. They asked me, well, what did you think? And I said, the only thing I thought at that time was that's a killing machine.
Yeah.
That's something straight out of Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's the only thing I could measure it to.
Right. When your light hit that creature's eye, was it, because we hear a lot of times different things. When I had my encounter, there was the only light that was out there was a dim orangish street light that was half glowing. Mm-hmm. We saw this eye shine. Was there an eye shine, or was it a reflective?
No, it was a reflective black. It almost looked like, I think on After Hours AM, when they had asked me that, when I recalled it in my mind, I said it looked like if you was to wear like how a helicopter pilot wears the black visor?
Yep.
Okay, and it's like got the things where, I guess on the inside of it, the updated ones, they're reading electrical stuff when they look in the lens. But when you're looking from at them, it just looks like a black lens. And if you shine a light on it, it just glances off like it's a lens.
Like a shine?
Yeah, like a black shine.
Yeah.
And that's what that creature looked like, though the eye was as big as a softball. That people don't realize when the brow on this thing had to be 3.5 foot long.
Wow, Jesus.
And then the snout, from what I saw in that moments of the light hitting it, the snout, what I thought at the time was maybe 9 or 13 inches long. This might have been about 2 seconds.
Right.
But my mind gathered a lot of stuff afterwards, of when I had time to re-look at it. Mm-hmm. It just, the teeth were not white. So the teeth were dark yellow.
Like a stain.
Yeah, like a dark yellow.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't white, like you see white teeth. It looked like just a dark yellow.
Like a wild animal, an animal that lives in the wild.
Yeah, and I guess, and later on in life, I've seen it in bears that have been shot.
Yeah.
Like old bears where their teeth are yellow. But this was really yellow from what I remember, on the teeth.
That video that I've shared on my channel, did the creature resemble that creature? No, totally different.
This creature, the thing you're talking about, the video that you've been showing, that video was taken in Daniel Boone.
Okay.
I've taken Paul there. I've taken 5 other people there.
Okay.
Since that was filmed.
So this was 2 different creatures.
Yeah, these were 2 totally different. That thing in 91 was it had to be 10 foot tall.
Wow.
Standing either on its hind legs, because I don't think it was on all 4.
Right.
If it was on all 4, that would make it, I don't know,
20,
that would make it taller
20 feet. That thing would be a monster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But this thing that I shot, where you have the video and you've been showing it, that was taken in 2004, and it was taken in August.
Okay.
And I was up in that area with a family member at the time. And actually, we had spent the night right there in that area, in the vehicle. We did not camp. We were in a vehicle.
Right.
And it was taken at about 4:30. It just had rained and the sun came out, and it was really hot. And what I was doing when I turned the camera on, because I noticed I was getting a lot of action behind me, it was like a jungle in there, in that part of the park.
Yeah, it looks deep. It looked just from what...
Yeah, it's thick in there. And in the winter, it's wide open. I've taken Paul up there, and I've taken several other. I've took my best friend up there even in 2018. She's from Illinois, and we stayed up there all night. But in the winter, it's kind of bare. But in the summer and the spring, it's like a jungle. It looks like Vietnam.
I was just going to say that, because you can tell just from when you're panning in on that creature, it really does. And you can almost tell. I've watched the video probably, I don't know, 500-600 times, but you can tell that it had just rained, and it does. It looks muggy, because just by the haze in the video.
Yeah, it was hot, and it had just rained. And I had got out, and I had, in the original video, there's about 50 or 43 seconds before that. And on the video, I'm counting my paces.
Okay.
Like it's weird. People, they'll probably say, "What are you doing?" I don't know. I had certain ways I would do things when I was filming.
Okay.
To mark my spot. Okay, like if I was somewhere and I sensed something, that I would know exactly where it is if I numbered it in my mind.
Right.
I know it sounds crazy.
Well, you're almost mapping it out.
That's essentially, that's what I'm doing in my mind. So because you wouldn't believe how many times in the past that I forgot where exactly I was at.
Okay.
Because it's easy to do.
Yeah.
When you're in a national park, I have done that before. I totally forgot where an area was at because it's either changed or didn't look the way it was.
Right.
I don't, because it's like forever changing or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
It's hard how to explain it, but that's, So as I was filming, I was panning that area because I was kind of sensing by the sound and the crackling that something was in there. So I was panning it. I was looking at the area, and I noticed there was something there that wasn't just there by the tree. And I don't know if you can tell by watching it, but when I zoomed in on it, from where I was at, I wasn't that far. It was about 30 foot from where the creature was at.
Okay.
And when I'm looking at it different than what people are looking at it on the video.
Yeah. I'm
seeing the outline of it with my eyes because I could see a lot more of it than what the camera's kind of showing. Like I'm filming it, but I'm looking at it in real time, and I can see it swaying. But on the video, I can see it swaying.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if people can tell that or not.
No, people that have seen it and commented on it, they can see it. I've had a few people take the swaying for breathing.
Mm-hmm.
There's one point in that video, because when I got the video, I got 1 minute and 6 seconds of it. And I then took part of it, slowed it down, and zoomed in. So now it's like 2 minutes and 16 seconds. There's one point in the original video where I didn't zoom in, but you can see it blink its eye. And the second I saw the video, I was like, I remember my mouth, the jaw dropped, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is it. This is the video. There's no denying that this creature is there, Yeah.
And you got good eyes. Paul seen that when he first... I never seen that video until I had went to Paul's. Unfortunately, I know everybody's going to say, well, why didn't you look at it? I only looked at it through the access of my camera. I never hooked it up to a computer.
Right. And we're referring to, really quick, we're referring to Paul Chaffin. Paul's been on the channel before, given interview. He is almost kind of like your apprentice almost, He's a good friend of yours and very much into videoing and photoing the woods of Kentucky.
Yeah, I brought Paul on when he contacted me in 2015, shortly before I had moved to Alaska and went to Canada. And I think he went to Florida. And then when I came back, I think it was 2017, he had come back to Kentucky.
Okay.
And then he had contacted me again, and then I said, you sound like you got a good head on your shoulders, like you're pretty smart, you're a go-getter, and you want to go find these things.
Yeah.
You're interested in it. So I said, well, we'll hook up and we'll take it from there.
Right.
So I tried to, I mean, he seems to have come a long way in this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's really taken the initiative to really find out, you know, on his own. And he's finding the evidence.
Yep. Definitely is.
And I tried to tell him what I could, you know, about how to approach certain things on it. And he's listened, you know.
Yeah.
I have tried with other people in the past and they didn't listen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There is certain steps you can take to be, I don't know how you would say it, to be more productive in your research.
Yep.
In your finding your evidence. And he's listened, you know. I mean, he's really good at doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and he really takes the initiative. He reminds me of what you do in your research.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you.
Because you really, if people can't see that you're totally devoted to the subject that we are talking about, and it goes beyond that, they don't understand what this involves.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I appreciate
and some
that.
people might not, you know, they might not understand because unless you're involved in it and you're kind of on the inside of it, you're not going to know what all goes on.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. Really quick, you had just you'd mentioned Alaska, and when me and you privately talked for that hour, I kind of wanted to ask you. You went up to Alaska. Did you go up to Alaska to do research? Or
yeah, it was research, and at the time I had married, and I had moved up there.
Okay.
And the woman I had married, unfortunately, I'm not married to anymore. But she was also involved in the research.
Okay.
And I took a lot of film out of Alaska.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I shot a lot of film of a lot of creatures.
Now,
but it was a lot of Squatch.
That's what I was just going to ask. Because when you think of like Alaska or you think of the Pacific Northwest, you automatically think Bigfoot, Sasquatch. But if there's Bigfoot if there's Bigfoot, there's usually a number of dogmen as well.
And they're there.
Yeah.
They're there. I've seen them. I've seen them twice in Alaska. I've seen the dogmen in Alaska.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did not film them at the time.
Right.
I mean, one was a quick glimpse. It came out of the brush, made itself present, and it was right back gone into the brush.
Yeah.
And that was unexpected because that day we were not looking for anything. I was actually doing some work, you know, like some yard work.
Okay.
I was actually shoveling, I think, pea gravel or something, you know. And there was another time when we were driving, and I think it was, I don't know if it was Cook's Outlet up in Alaska where the ocean is. Like, I forgot if it's called Cook's Outlet or Captain Cook.
I'm not really familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not. I just can't remember what the park was called, but I witnessed what I know to be a canine, cryptic creature. The rest of it was Sasquatch that was either around where I was living, where I was staying at the time, and where we hiked, where we knew that they were already there. Right. Because the footprint evidence that I took, the actual videos I took of some, it was just predominantly Sasquatch.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
How what's your, I've said it many times on the channel when I talk about Bigfoot, and things, because people have like this perception of Bigfoot, being the, guardian of the forest and Harry and the Hendersons, and, they're a dangerous creature. Did you ever have any kind of like, an experience with a Bigfoot where you felt like you were in trouble?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've known a lot of people that I know that they are truthful because I've seen their evidence and they've invited me to share in it. And some of these people are the people, like you just said, they believe that the Sasquatch are their big brother.
Yeah.
Some of them were Native American, and I respect that because that's might have been what they were experiencing. But I myself have had 2 encounters in Kentucky in the early 2000s where I was deep in the other side of Daniel Boone, closer to the Tennessee side, at the time with a girlfriend. And I was trying to get film, and we had a stump that was about 5 to 5.5 or 6 foot long that probably weighed about 300 pounds. I'm not for sure, but it was thrown, and it was thrown a long distance, and it landed maybe 20 foot from us. I mean, this stump came out from nowhere.
Right.
Now, there's nothing else that could have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that I know that I've experienced, and from doing research way before that, I knew that sometimes is something that happens. That's because I recognized the call, the scream that came before that.
Mm-hmm.
And what else is going to throw a stump like that? I could hardly pick the stump up on one side,
Yeah, they're exceptionally strong. I just, through things that I've read and put pieces together, and just, obviously if it's that big, you're going to know that it's strong, but it's almost a superhuman, or not like superhero strength. It's an unimaginable strength these creatures have.
Yeah, if you've been around it and from research, if you've been around it, exactly what does that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to embellish anything, and I never do. And some people, when I say that the stump came out of nowhere from where I was standing was an open field, and probably within 40 or 45 yards, it was wooded. So it came out of there. So you tell me what could have thrown it.
Yeah.
Now, was it meant to hit us? I don't know. I just know I didn't like that area to begin with. There's some areas where it seems like after 91, I can sense certain things.
Yep.
I'm not saying I'm superhuman or anything like that, but I've always been open to, I believe, your mind. If your intent is strong enough and you're looking for something, that you will find it.
Yeah. You get that feeling.
Sometimes maybe that's not good either, because be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. You get that
that's
feeling.
what I found out,
Yeah.
on some of this.
I did the video when I was we talked about this when I was up north in the Adirondacks, when I was at where Tom Mezek disappeared. And there's a video of it that I had been up there a bunch of times prior. In this one spot, it's I made it a point to upload it and talk about it, because you can see my whole demeanor change. Like, and it wasn't just, and then once I left that area, it slowly got better. But I felt like I was in danger, It was just like, and you look around. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and that's there for a reason. It's there to protect you. I really think humans have this untapped ability. Everyone has a psychic ability. I don't, that's my belief because I've seen it. I know it works. But everyone has it. We just aren't taught it.
Right.
And sometimes experiences, I think, bring it out tremendously. I think what I got hit with in 91, it not only caused me problems, but it enhanced things that I never knew I had.
Yeah, it opened your mind a little more.
I think it did. I mean, it had to.
Yeah.
After that, I in 91, I didn't, like I said, I didn't start going back out camping or fishing until about 95 and 97. In 97, I had my second experience, which I think I told before publicly, when it was in the spring of 97, and a guy I used to do contract work for, his name was Teddy, and he was a contractor. And at that time, I never owned a boat or anything. So when someone offered me to go crappie fishing, I jump on it. I mean, if they're going to drive to, the Western Kentucky, I lived in Louisville. So, of course, if I wasn't working, I would go. So we ended up going, and it was supposed to be for like 2 days. And I guess we might have been planning on sleeping in the truck. And we were fishing the shallows because he had some kind of a bass boat, and I'm not versed on a lot of boats, but because I never fish in boats that much.
Right. And
we were at night, and he had a spotlight with him, and it was a pretty big one. And he was shy. I took the light after he was done with it, and I was just kind of curious because as I was kind of float fishing and bringing it back in using a popper, a small one, I think it was, I started hearing like breaking, like stuff stepping on the deadwood and driftwood up in the, going off of the lake where It went up a really deep incline. And I took the light and I was shining it. And out of nowhere, this thing that was a two-legged bipedal, what I describe as a type of a dog man with 2 arms, 2 legs, standing up like a Sasquatch. And it was probably about 6 foot tall, but it had huge forearms. And when it looked in the light, it didn't hold up its hand, to block the light. It just stared at us. Like, when I first caught it in the light, it looked like it might have been looking for stuff under the driftwood. Like, mussels or something. I don't know.
Right.
But it just stood there. And I was thinking, at the time, again, I was thinking, if I had a camera, what the, this thing is right here. And Teddy, of course, he's strictly no BS,
Right.
Very logical. Didn't say a word, I remember glancing at him, and he was just like looking, like he didn't look at me or nothing. He was just looking straight ahead at what I was looking at. And I just couldn't believe it, again. But this was an actual bipedal. It had a short snout. It had 2 pointy ears. It had little white hairs in the ear. Like it had white in the ear itself. Like a bobcat.
Right. Wow.
And I think I do remember telling this on a couple shows as being my second actual sighting where I could plainly see it. So it finally just turned around and started to walk off, it eventually walked off into the darkness where I couldn't spotlight it anymore. And that was my second experience from 91 that I had of a solid sighting.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel at the time when I didn't feel any anger or nothing.
Okay.
Like, I didn't feel any danger.
Like, it was more of a curious, it was doing its business,
yeah,
you were doing yours.
I'm sitting here watching this thing that nobody's that I known has ever seen. And I'm thinking, not at the time, but later on I thought, we're maybe the only humans who have seen this particular one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
Like, what's the chances of that? Like, does this have something to do with, like, my first experience?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have answers for that. I just know that, it happened, and I seen it, and he seen it. He was with me. And I'm not crazy.
Right.
But if I had a camera, what a shot that would have been.
Yeah.
But I don't think I had my first cell phone till 2001. Honestly,
okay.
It was either in 99 or 2000, because I know it wasn't before the attacks in 2001 of September. I know I had a cell phone before then, before 911.
Yep.
And
wow.
And I mean, it wasn't big. It wasn't like dominantly big. It was, like I said, about 6 foot tall. But I could see that the forearms and the calves were huge, But it was like the light didn't bother it. It didn't do like a person would do where you hold your hand up
to block the light out of
the
it.
light. Yeah, it was not bothering it whatsoever.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, to see it in that good a position with the clearing on that shore, and to think it just moseyed along like it wasn't scared of anything.
Right.
But I didn't feel anything. But some people say, well, that's because you were on a boat. No, I probably would have picked up something.
I think more or less it was a chance encounter, and it was doing its business, and it was just like you said, it was maybe looking under that wood for some opportunist dinner or something, like just.
That's what I thought. I mean, this was probably, I think it might have been about 1 a.m. It might have been 12:30. It was sometime around there. I know we got there late anyway.
Yeah.
And that was a season, I think we had flooding that year too in Louisville. If I can't remember, it was 97. I'm pretty sure it was 97. It was a year when I think there was a lot of flooding in Louisville. Okay. If I can't remember right,
Now, your research has stemmed behind cameras, behind video, behind photo. The main, or one of the biggest things when it comes to video or photos is those people who are like, is this the best we get? Was this taken with a potato?
Exactly. Oh yeah.
What do you think? Because you've done this for so long, been standing behind that camera, what do you think the reason is that the video or photo doesn't come out as clear as you see it with your own eyes?
I've looked at that many times, what you just suggested on the, why that is.
Mm-hmm.
Heard many explanations. I mean, I'll come off the top right now and say that I've been privy, being in the research since fully since 98. I would say semi fully into it until now. And I've seen a lot of private photos. I even have videos of myself, okay? I have plenty of videos. I have stuff that is really, really clear. I've seen pictures that people have taken, and they're legit photos, they're legit videos, and they are the clearest dang things I've ever seen. Now, you'd have to ask them why they've never shown them. A lot of them say that they don't want to get involved. But I have seen the clearest that I've ever seen. These videos and photos are often, from what I know, they're often sold behind the scenes.
And just in a private collection. Yep.
Because I don't see them. And I'm saying this because I'm coming off the top and I'm telling the public what I know on that.
Right.
Because I know myself.
That's not the first time that I've heard that. Tim Baker told me the same thing. That it's there's a photo that was taken while he was camping with a bunch of his fellow researchers, and he said, his own words, I'd like to know where that photo ended up.
Exactly. And a lot of times, now I'm not, this is partly speculation. I would think that there's sometimes NDA signed on it when you take cash for a photo. And no matter how bad that person might want to say, they're not obligated legally to say. Once you sign an NDA for money and you sell something, you're not allowed to talk about it.
Right.
It's like a contract, a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
But what I know, this is what I know, that a lot of times the videos and pictures do get sold, and there's an NDA possibly signed, and those videos and photos will go away.
Speaking of photos, you sent me a photo. You sent me a photo and gave me permission to share it.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
What's the story behind this photo?
The one with where I have my name on there, with the trademark.
Yep.
That photo came out of a video that I took in 2015 in northern Kentucky in a park. I don't want to say the park.
Right.
But it came out of Kentucky. It came out of there when I was back trailing out of there, shooting video. Not when I was going in, when I was coming out. And this is a frame, I think 284, taken out of the original video of that 4 times.
Okay.
The one I'm showing, which I think is a pretty good video. In the video, it's kind of a fast video in the main frame and the regular speed, but when I slowed it down to get a better quality definition of it, of this one, this might not be the best definition. Right. I think I have some more that are clear in a certain speed frame.
Okay.
That shows a little bit more detail, but it's a pretty good picture that I haven't readily shown publicly.
Yeah. And thank you for allowing me to share it with people because, like you said, it's one of those photos that you haven't shared often.
I think it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
The video is, I think, just as good.
How close were you to the creature?
I was on the trail. I was actually on a marked trail, and I was doing a back out, where I back out, walking backwards, filming, because I picked up on the fact that they're always there watching.
Yeah.
When you're got your back turned, so I usually walk out backwards.
Right, yeah.
Because it was working for me. I was catching a lot of stuff like that at one time.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best ways to do it. It's they're not they can't get the jump on you, and you're catching them as they're looking at you because they're so used to people walking back out of the area the the right way, not walking backwards.
Well, what I believe this was a type of squatch. I don't think it was a dogman. Mm-hmm. No, I don't know. I mean, when people look at a picture and we say I think that's a dogman, we don't have scientific chart of. We don't.
Right.
I'm not saying there might be an agency
that
has a chart that they've already documented a species.
Right.
We're not privy. I'm myself not privy to that. I'm only privy to the information that I've got and the photos that I get. But I can't scientifically come out and say that is a squatch. That is some creature that is undocumented.
Yeah.
What is on that picture?
When I saw that, I was like, I was like, whoa, that really, the photo almost looks like a gorilla kind of.
Yeah, it does. It almost, but it wasn't.
But not like the silverback gorilla. It almost has like a mandrill face. It's got a very long face.
Well, it almost looks to me what I thought it looked like if you look at the work that Grover Stance did. Am I saying that right?
I think so.
The guy who did the research from Oregon back in the 70s up until the late 90s, and he did a lot of the footprint work. And
the casting and stuff?
Yeah, and he did a lot of work with the Gigantopithecus skulls.
Yep.
To me, that almost looks like Gigantopithecus.
Yeah.
Blackie.
Yeah, it's
the scientific name. But I don't know. I can't literally, what I'm saying, when we show photos as researchers, you're best just to say, what I say now is that is totally an undocumented animal.
Exactly.
Because I can't literally say, I can say to my best knowledge, from what I know, that might be a dogman or a squatch, but I don't truly know.
Mm-hmm.
Scientifically, I don't. I mean, we really don't know what these things are.
We know nothing.
Truly.
We call it a dogman because it's got ears and a snout. But who's to say it's even got canine DNA in the damn thing?
Exactly. And I just want to be honest. That's why I'm trying to explain that.
And I respect that,
Because I never wanted to come out in the public ever from the get-go and say, this is what I got. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I just wanted, from the get-go, I really just wanted to show what I was seeing.
Yeah.
From the time in 91, I couldn't understand what the hell happened. I didn't know what traumatic stress I had been through. I mean, it still gets to me.
Yeah.
Until you've been in that situation, and I don't know, maybe a lot more people will. Maybe it's unfortunate why I'm on the topic that some of these cases that happens to these people, these like campers, hikers, or even children, that a creature would possibly be involved in their disappearance. To me, that has always been something that's very upsetting to me personally.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, here I am, and I made it part of my life looking for these creatures. And, I mean, good golly, I mean, how horrifying if some of these creatures are taking people. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think,
and
definitely
it's
think
a
they are.
hard subject to deal with.
It is.
It's kind of when you're on the kind of the inside of the research, and you there's some things that I don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people who have come to me and they wanted information of what I knew about something. Well, you know, it happens in every career. If you're privy to doing the work and researching, there's going to be people that come to you.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
And you know that. I mean, you've done a lot of deep tracking research. I know this because I've watched.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of a lifelong researcher, and you know what it takes to get the information, you can look at anybody, and when they claim to be investigating, you know the clues just by knowing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about privately, you know, it's something you can sense from that.
Yeah.
What you've done or what I've done or other researchers have done, and you know, you can feel that. You know, one thing that I've always, and I always say this on the channel, is that there are no experts in this field. Like I'm constantly learning from people, from subscribers, you know, just talking with you. I've got about 1 million different ideas in things cooking in my head. Like, I wonder this, I wonder that now, you know, and I think that's probably one of the greatest things about this science. It's, you know, it's a science based on theory, and you can't prove theory right or wrong.
Exactly.
So.
That's well said on that. I just, like I said, I've always wanted to come off from the get-go, non-embellishing.
Yeah.
I'm getting too old myself I really don't want any kind of public spotlight on anything.
Yeah.
I got to where I purposely got out of this research, and we talked about that a little. There was a lot of going on with me personally, but at the same time, a lot of things since I started a public research, and I got really deep into it.
Yep.
And I can't really talk about a lot of the stuff that the personal experiences where you might get certain threats.
Yep.
And those threats might not just come from individuals.
No, I agree 100%.
If I'm saying that right.
You are. You are.
You know, and I backed out of it pretty good.
Yeah, you did.
You know, I think I've known some people to get really deep into it. It seems like if you cross a certain line, you're basically warned.
Yep.
In ways, okay? And I mean, I'll be honest, I know some stuff that I don't talk about. Mm-hmm. I just won't ever talk about it. And I don't think if people knew the situation, if they understood it, they probably would say, I don't blame you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I really think if you look at it from that mature approach, that people would understand why some people totally disappear out of this research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like out of choice. Like they've had enough of it.
Yeah. It is.
Like we're fine. Like I'm fine with not like this. If this was my last interview and I decided I probably won't give no more, I might come back on here.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
That'd be awesome.
And especially if I decide to start putting up new videos that I have decided in the past that for whatever reason, I decided not to make public at the time.
Yep.
And I decide to make them public, I'll probably come back on here. But I don't want to get back in. I'm fine with doing the private research.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you know, not everything is a conspiracy.
I agree with that 100%. It's not all conspiracy. There's things that just occur naturally, and but there are those lines that when crossed, sometimes there's not, you don't come back, and you just shut up and you don't share certain things. And yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. And I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just thought I'd kind of try to clear that out because I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people from different areas in the research that were in public. They throw out these questions, and sometimes it's to these well-known investigators. And a lot of times they will not answer anything about nothing. They won't try to explain it. That's the best way I know how to explain why that certain videos and certain pictures never make its way to the,
or certain information.
Yeah, certain information, especially on cases where, unfortunately, people come up missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know a lot. I know a lot in my research, and I know a lot about what I think these creatures, where they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like 50 to 100% sure at any time I'm going to know where they're at. But I don't, like when it comes to the other stuff, that information, for whatever reason, I mean, they do it with a lot of stuff. Sometimes whoever's controlling this, they just don't want the information out.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what else to,
Yep.
But like I said before, what really is baffling and scary is the people. If some of these creatures are involved in some of this stuff, to me, it's disheartening.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because I've never had a problem with that myself. Like, other than when I had the times when a stump was thrown.
Yep.
I look at myself, and when I was a lot younger and I was going out, staying out for 4 to 5 days with no tent, and I only maybe had it, sometimes it was just me, but the older I got, I started taking other researchers because I started getting worried because these cases started coming out.
Getting really
about
bad,
people disappearing now, and then people say, well, what, you've done this most of your almost 27 years now, and you've always come back. I don't know why.
You're lucky. It wasn't your time. It wasn't your time. It wasn't your time.
Because there was many times, many, many, many times, I can't even count how easily much of a target I would have been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really. I mean, to be honest, I would have been a target many, many times.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, do I go unarmed now? No. I've heard people, and I've heard Robert Morgan, the Bigfoot researcher from a long time ago. I think he's still alive somewhere on the West Coast. He always used to say if you take a gun, it's like an iron teddy bear. It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
But I see, I've known cases personally where they told me it has helped them in a situation. So I'd rather have a gun.
Exactly. I'd rather have it with me than not have it with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of, we're coming up on time, so we're going to have to end the interview. But, there's that where people say, when you go out in the woods, all you need is a prayer. Well, I'm not going to rely. Prayer is nice. Prayer is beautiful. Prayer is something special. But if I've got a 9 to 10 foot creature in front of me, I'm not going to want to rely on the Our Father itself. I'm going to want something a little extra.
Exactly. I mean, it worked. I'm being honest. Yeah. That's the truth. I was always, the reason why I say that, like I said, the more I got into the research, the more I started learning about the stuff that you're probably specializing in, which is exposing these missing or cases or these people who unfortunately came across some bad instance that aren't here anymore. And in most of those cases, from what I know, and I haven't touched it as much as you have, believe me, I found out a lot of them aren't carrying guns.
No, they're not. They're not.
You know, and a lot of them aren't woodsmen.
No, they're not. They're just, they're blindly going to a place that they shouldn't be going. You know, they don't have the knowledge, just a little bit of knowledge going out there, and not think, it's these people that don't think about something other than, a deer or a raccoon living in the woods. There are things out there that will hurt you. It doesn't have to be a Bigfoot. It doesn't have to be a Dogman. There's other things out there that are just nature,
Exactly. That's a good point, because I think the last interview I gave, it was in 2016. I think it was after Ours AM, national radio. And they brought up that question. I said, I don't discourage anybody from going out and doing this. Yeah. I'm not one of those people to say, oh, you can't do it. If you want to, you're an adult, go do it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only chance that you're really going to have proof is by seeing it with your own eyes.
Yep.
Because all the videos in the world, there's going to be a doubt there.
Yeah, there's always going to be someone that's going to doubt it and troll it, and but like.
And that's why, now I don't know if you remember, I know you said we're running out of time. Time's gone so quick here.
Yeah.
I kind of really got into this. I didn't think I would like talking again.
This has been fun. We've got some time.
It kind of rejuvenated me a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad that, I hope
I
that
am too, because I dreaded it.
Because to me, you really have a lot to offer the community, what you can share and what you're willing to share is a lot, and I think the community has grown to a point where, what you shared 10 years ago, people haven't heard that, and people really need to hear it. People need to, you're a seasoned researcher, that has a lot of time and information that's beneficial to people and could save lives.
Yeah, and that's the older we get, it's...
And I wasn't calling you old when I said seasoned.
I realize I am getting older, that I can't do what I used to do.
Yeah. I
can't climb these hills anymore. I can't do it. I'm trying to make a comeback on it. But what I always would tell people was, you're free to do it. Go do it.
Yeah.
But just be careful of your surroundings. Because like you said, it might not be some cryptozoological creature that gets you. It might be a tick or a spider.
Yeah.
I have scars all over my body from 20 years of spider bites and tick bites. Mm-hmm. And the last tick bite I got messed my life up.
Yeah.
It really did a loop on me for something that I can no longer... I don't want to play Sad Sal. I'm just saying. I brought that on because I went out there and I wasn't aware of that. And when I contracted a disease from a tick bite, I could no longer eat any meat.
Yeah.
Or it would kill me.
Yeah.
And this is going on for about 8 years. It was so high of a dose that I don't think it'll ever leave my DNA.
Yeah. Yep.
And they don't know much about,
That's something that really you have to offer right there is, how many people, like, okay, we just talked about going out in the woods with a firearm or a prayer, and I always do. I always do say, I'll say, hey, when I go out, especially when I go where Tom Mezek disappeared, please watch out for me. Let me get home to my daughters. But there's something else, with me to make sure that I get home. But how many people think about that tick bite,
I never did.
There's
I never
always
did until it hit me.
Precautions that you need to take, certain precautions. Wear long pants. Have bug spray. Just think about all of the dangers that are out there besides the Dogman, besides the Sasquatch, besides whatever else is out there. There are other things that just exist, naturally that we are aware of.
Exactly. And you never know. You never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah. You might run into some person or people that live in the woods.
Yeah, I can't say who it was. I was one time in 2014 with a camera crew in Daniel Boone, and we ran into some people. Feral people? And it was people probably doing illegal stuff.
Yeah.
And there was, it got pretty dang scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Where the state police had to be called.
Yeah.
And we weren't expecting that. I mean, that's,
no one is, that's something
we were just shooting film.
Mm-hmm.
And, but that was an eye-opener when I started carrying, because out there, anything can happen. I was out for about a year just recently. I took a fall in the woods filming, and I hurt my back bad, and I was in therapy for it was a while.
Yeah.
And you never know. I mean, I was walking in the dark filming, and I fell.
Yeah.
Down an embankment, and it's crazy. You never know.
You got to be right there. Perfect example of being aware of your surroundings.
Definitely. And it's just, I mean, and it's just, I don't want to discourage anybody from doing it. If they want to get into this, go do it. That's what I was getting ready to say. I don't know if you heard of DDoS. Now, we started, it was back in 2015, the BDRP channel.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we had decided on. We weren't going to discourage anybody.
Yeah.
We wanted everyone in the community to have a part in what we were doing.
Just take precautions.
Yeah, just, because, man, once you get out there in some of these national parks, you don't have cell phone service unless you have a transponder, which cost about, I think, $5,000?
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. A lot of people don't. I never had that to buy that. So if something happens, you're pretty much on your own. And even in today's time, if your cell phone don't work, you might lay there and die.
Yep.
From a broken leg or a snake bite.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take much,
Exactly.
I had a spider bite from being out for about a week in 2003, and I almost lost my leg from the thigh down from the spider bite.
Yeah.
And it just, you never know. And that, and that's, like I said, I asked for it because I wanted to do the research. But that's just some of those things that you don't hear about.
No, you don't.
I don't know what kind of spider bit me. The doctor crew didn't know what it was either. They just know that my whole leg was infected after about a week when I got back. I mean, that's just some examples,
exactly.
of other than what the unfortunate thing with cryptids, if that's what And, I believe that some cryptids are involved in some of this stuff. I do believe they are involved in it. I don't have, per se, firsthand proof, but I would think that they are the cause of some of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And
I don't know if you found that in your investigation.
I think that there's a portion of these things that cryptids are involved, and then there's a portion that just don't pertain to cryptids that, people want to add a story to, you know what I mean? They want to involve a cryptid when it's really, some pot growing guy that's out there that wants to protect his crops, or, some other BS stuff. So listen, we're about an hour and a half in. I want to talk to you for a few minutes after, so don't hang up. But we're going to end the interview. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the audience before we end this?
I just, like I said, this is the first time I've been publicly talking since about 2016, I think. Mm-hmm. And I hope I've answered some questions without being too confined. I hope that I've been understandable.
Definitely.
And I came across, honestly, because that's what I got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Kirk, this has been awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said to begin with, I appreciate that you understood my research, what I tried to do, what I'm trying to do. Because I don't think it's not about money.
No.
It's about, I just wanted to show people.
Exactly.
And sometimes some people aren't satisfied with it, and sometimes it might be better than what you think, and other people or other groups might not like it. I don't know. I just know that I'm just coming to present.
Present what you experienced and what you know, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate the fact that I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad that this interview was a positive experience, and that now it might have lit a little fire under you to get back out and, share some more. If not, that's still awesome. I'm glad that I was able to interview you, because it's been something that I've wanted to do for 3 years now.
And I'm glad that I was able to come on. I honestly didn't want to. In 2000, not because of the show, or I don't like giving public interviews anymore. There's a lot of stuff that happened where, somebody asked me not too long ago, if you had this to do it all over again, would you do it? And I was like, no.
Right.
I wouldn't touch this subject.
I hear you there.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't do this again.
No, I agree. There's a
part of me that loves it, but there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes with stuff that's happened that it can be traumatic.
The research is amazing. The research is amazing. Doing the research is amazing, but the drama that goes along with it, or that shouldn't go along with it, is what really irks me. And there are days that I just want to be like, is it worth it? And then for some reason, I'll talk to somebody, or I'll just, think of something, and it, puts it into perspective that, it doesn't have to, that's why I tend to just do my own thing, and
I think you're doing pretty good at it. From what I've seen, I do keep up with your channel. I don't a lot of times have time like I used to just go through gobs and gobs of information.
Right.
But I do watch it. I do keep up with what people say and all of that, but I no longer keep contacts very much in Facebook or answer a lot of questions. I used to take a lot of reports, and I still do get people that have questions. If it's basically on a scientific research professional, I gladly answer it. But if it's some drama or something, I don't got time for that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't got time strictly like you are, investigative, professionally, and honestly.
Yeah. That's the only thing that matters. That's the
only thing that stands the test of time, because once people deal with you, if they know you're not being honest and they know they can't trust you with what they told you, they won't come back to you.
Right. Yep.
It's just how it works.
That's why I won't, if someone says, Jeff, I don't want to share a location.
Exactly.
Or, share my name or something, I'll say, then don't. Share what you want and don't share what you don't want,
Exactly. Because there's many reasons why people do that.
Yeah.
I found out the hard way.
Yep.
Why you have to, sometimes you can't disclose a lot of things. It's just the way it is, because you might not ever get that information again, and no one will talk to you.
Yeah.
It's just like a police investigator. It's an informant. They will never get information again.
Yep.
That's just how researching works. It's just how it works. I'm not saying everything's hidden. Like I said, there's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things other people know a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident in my tracking and my filming, where I know where a lot of these creatures are still are.
Yeah.
I'm not as versed in the missing, though I keep track of it. I'm not an investigator per se in that.
Yeah, like me, I couldn't go out in the woods with a camera and do what you do. I'd be.
You probably could. I mean, if you wanted to start taking that avenue, I'm sure you could. You wouldn't have a very problem with it.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. And, listen, we got to end this because I don't want to I don't want to miss any. I only have X amount of time that I can record, but definitely. I want to thank you and let you know how much I appreciate this, and I know that the majority of my audience is appreciative as well. So thank you for
and thank you to them. And I think a lot of your audiences, they are quite respectful.
Definitely.
It's you're going to get people with opinions. If people want to know, certain evidence is never going to be accepted.
Right.
And people are people. They're free to entitled to their opinion. It is America.
Yeah.
Yep. And they have a constitutional right to give their opinion.
Exactly.
Just like I have a constitutional right to come out and present evidence, though it might not be taken as evidence.
Yeah.
It has to be criticized, But on that note, yes, I do very much appreciate you giving me or asking me to come on and giving me time to talk.
Well, thank you. And don't hang up. I want to talk to you for a few minutes afterward. But it was wonderful having you on, my friend.
Likewise. Blessings.
Wow, what an amazing interview. Super nice guy. I had a blast talking with Kirk before, during, and after. Just a really nice guy and full of information. He and I were talking, and he was just skimming some of the surface. He's got some other creatures, what we refer to as werewolves, to talk about. And hopefully, he comes back and shares that info with us, because He's a valuable source of information. And it's a shame that the BS that occurred 10 years ago and all that happened, because, you know, it's I guess tragic not having this person willing to come forth because of the crap that he'd received prior to. So he had a great time doing the interview. It wasn't anything that he anticipated. He actually had a blast doing it. So hopefully your comments and everything showing him love and respect gets him to come back on and share more info, because he's got a lot of it. And with that, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the Great Spirit watch over us all and guide us down that path that we call life.